Hey, I'm Heroic, and today I have a very different video to show off. I'm currently playing version 1.7.3 of the Cobblemon mod. I'm just doing the default base Cobblemon mod pack. I have a couple of extras like the Pokénav mod, but that's just for demonstration purposes. I have no major additional mods. And so if you happen to be playing Cobblemon with major additional mods, then this video should probably still be applicable to you, but might be a little bit different in ways that I can't really help with. But if you're playing with default Cobblemon, this should be a pretty fun video for you. So one thing that I really like about the Cobblemon mod in particular is how well balanced it is. The team clearly puts a lot of effort into making sure that the balance of the game mechanics is roughly as balanced as the default vanilla Minecraft mechanics are. And I think they do an incredible job at that. It's been a ton of fun playing survival Minecraft with the Cobblemon mod. However, that just makes things like what I'm about to show you even more interesting. So just a quick recap over how Poké Snacks work, because this diamond farm that I'm about to show you relies on Poké Snacks. Goddig has a much more lengthy video that goes a lot more in depth about how exactly Poké Snacks work and how they spawn Pokemon and everything, but just the fundamentals, just so you understand how this farm works. Poké Snacks will look in the northwest direction. So, you know, the three lines in the middle of the F3 screen should look like that when standing on the Poké Snack. Essentially what they're doing is they're subtracting 8 from all coordinates, so -8 in that direction, -8 in that direction, -8 in that direction, which for that Poké Snack right there happens to end up being right along this axis, right next to this pink block right here. That Poké Snack is going to look for any block in that position, which right now there is nothing. If there is no block in that position, like how it is right now, it's going to look for another block 64 blocks downwards and 64 blocks upwards from that initial position, totaling 129 blocks in total. And that's what this giant glass tower is. And what's really important to note is that this block can be a solid block like this, or it can even be like a block like a button or a sign or anything like that. Just any block. Once it finds a block in either this position or any position that it searched for, which even includes like up here, then it's going to use that block as the Poké Snack's base coordinate block, where it's then going to go 16 blocks in each direction as the spawning range, totaling a 17 by 17 by 17 area that Pokemon can spawn in from that Poké Snack. And that's extremely useful because it's going to be searching 129 blocks vertically. We can essentially pool the spawn radius anywhere we want in here. So now that Poké Snack all the way up there is only going to spawn Pokemon within a 17 by 17 by 17 area starting from this block. So it's only going to reach to about, like, I don't know, up here. And it won't even surround the actual Poké Snack itself, which is really interesting. And we can see this in effect. If I do random tick speed to 200, for example, we can see, so random tick speed is on, so this Poké Snack should be spawning Pokemon, but right now it can't because it can't find any valid spawn coordinate block. But the moment that I put a block here, there immediately starts being Pokemon spawns. And that just goes to show exactly how important this base coordinate block is. You control that, you control the Poké Snack. And what's really interesting is it also means, because the Poké Snacks will search in such a large vertical area, that you can just keep stacking them on top of each other. And as long as you only have one block here and no blocks above or below it, all of those Poké Snacks are all going to target the same block. One other thing that you need to know as well is that if there is a Pokemon, the Poké Snacks will not spawn any more Pokemon within an 8-block radius of that Pokemon, and that's also really important to know. As you can see, now they're spawning. So there you have it. Those are the fundamentals of how Poké Snack spawning works. And with that said, how can we turn this into a diamond farm? I am now about to reveal the diamond farm in its purest raw form. This is gonna be crazy. Gonna blow your mind. It's just that. It's literally just this. So let's examine what's actually going on here. First of all, we have these Poké Snacks, which, as I said, can be stacked as high or even lower. We can also go lower if you wanted to, as long as they're in the same position on the X and Z axis. And then this block acts as the base coordinate for these Poké Snacks. If I were to break this, then no more Pokemon would spawn, though none are spawning right now because I have the random tick speed set to 0. So what's actually going on in here? Well, what we're doing is we have a combination of the correct seasonings on this Poké Snack. If I hold shift while hovering over the Poké Snack in my inventory, you can see the seasonings I have on here. And I'll get into more of the specifics of what those seasonings do and how you can apply them to Poké Snacks in a second, but for right now, you just need to know that these seasonings are crucial to getting Carbink to spawn. Carbink is the most important Pokemon here. And that's because Carbink has a 5% chance to drop a diamond upon death, or upon being fainted. So the idea is that these Poké Snacks are only going to spawn Carbink in this position. And from there, with this half slab, Carbink can't escape, but you can poke in there with your sharpness level 99 netherite axe and just whack the Carbink. And whatever they drop will be dropped into this chest, because inside this block is a hopper with minecart, which pulls the items in there. And if you're wondering how to do that, I mean, it's super simple. It's nothing special. You just do a rail, minecart with hopper, break the rail, come out with a piston facing like this, and then just power the piston, and now you have a minecart with hopper inside that block. And the reason that you want to do this is because when you throw items on top of it, then it just sucks the items in through the block, as you can see, just like that. And so it pulls the items into that, which then pulls the items into this hopper, and then puts them into this chest. So you can just sit here and keep killing the Carbink, and then going over here and refilling the Poké Snacks as they get eaten. As you can see, they do get smaller. Each Poké Snack can be eaten up to 9 times before it completely disappears. When that happens, you just come with more Poké Snacks, place them back, just like that. Now, this actually will not be spawning Carbink, and that's because Carbink has a few conditions to spawn. The first condition is that it has to have a diamond ore block with air above it. Now, when I say diamond ore, I have normal diamond ore here, but that also includes deep slate diamond ore. If I press F3 and look at the diamond ore block, if we look on the right, we can see the tag Minecraft Diamond Ores is applied to this block. Any block with that tag, Minecraft Diamond Ores, should be able to spawn Carbink. That is what Cobblemon looks for when it's trying to spawn Carbink. Now, in this case, this is just diamond ore and deep slate diamond ore. But if you have any additional mods that add more types of diamond ores, as long as those diamond ores have the Minecraft Diamond Ores tag applied to them, they should also be able to spawn Carbink. And obviously you can just get this with like a Silk Touch iron pickaxe or something, whatever means you need to get a diamond ore block up here. And this is essentially all you need. The tinted glass and the glowstone, that's just to help you see. All instances of tinted glass and glowstone that you're going to see throughout this video can just be replaced by any solid block, like cobblestone or really whatever you want. But the reason why Carbink can't spawn here is because of its second condition, which is the access to Skylight. Carbink can only spawn in Skylight levels of 0 to 7. Ideally, we want that to be exactly 0 to limit even more Pokemon that can spawn in here. But to do that, that would essentially mean building out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way to 15 blocks in that direction, 15 blocks in this direction, 15 blocks in this direction, and 15 blocks in this direction, and then filling it all in. And that is awful. Don't do that. It's way more blocks than it seems like it's going to be. I learned that the hard way in my survival world. You can also just fully enclose this in solid blocks to get it fully dark. Anything that fully eliminates Skylight. Carbink does not actually care about block light, which is why the glowstone doesn't matter. But Skylight does matter. So the theory is that the Poké Snacks will only allow Carbink to spawn due to their seasoning, and Carbink will just spawn on top of the Diamond Ore, and it will be the only Pokemon that will spawn in there. From there, again, you just kill it because of the Diamond Ore, and assuming you block access to Skylight fully. And that's literally the whole Diamond Farm. We can see a more practical application of this over here. There's not a schematic for this in the description because it's actually pretty simple once I break it down. I don't think you really need a schematic here. But if we go in here, this is fully enclosed aside from the Skylight. That one block is letting all the Skylight in. If I press F3, we can see the client light is currently 15. 15 of that is from the Skylight, 10 of that is from the block light, which I have a bunch of torches here. I also have a campfire over here with a campfire pot. The idea is with this little chamber, you just come down here, and once you flick this lever, that's going to do two things. The first thing it's going to do is block off the Skylight. And now if I press F3, Skylight is 0. And that is perfect for Carbink. There's still block light because of the torches, but the Skylight is 0. And that's really important. So that's going to push that piston to block that off. The second thing it's going to do is this redstone line down here is going to power this sticky piston, which then pushes this block into this position, which is exactly what these Poké Snacks are going to be looking for. Right now, if I set random tick speed to 20, they're still not going to spawn any Carbink in here because their base coordinates can't find any blocks in this position or this position. But the moment the sticky piston extends and puts a block here, they're going to find it, and now all of a sudden Carbink are going to be able to spawn, while also simultaneously blocking off all light. So I'm going to go ahead and, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do that. But there we go, okay. Carbink spawned, and once you kill it... Okay, at that point, it dropped a float stone. But another one just spawned, so I can kill that too. And that one dropped nothing. Carbink can drop 3 items: diamonds, babiri berries, and float stones, and they all have a 5% chance to drop. So it's not going to be guaranteed that every Carbink gives you a diamond. But due to one of the seasonings, you do get that 5% chance twice. So each Carbink you kill is actually like killing 2 Carbink. I just got another float stone. But again, the odds of getting a float stone versus a diamond are exactly the same. They're both a 5% chance. These float stones, that babiri berry, all of this could have been a diamond. I'm getting pretty unlucky on camera. Of course I am. Another float stone, awesome. Every other person I've shown this off to, I got insanely lucky and just got diamond after diamond. Of course, now when I'm actually recording, I get nothing. Awesome. So one thing that's important to mention is with the seasoning, which again, I'm going to go over the seasoning in just a second. But the seasoning that I have here essentially means 10 Poké Snacks should, on average, give you 9 diamonds. And there we go. There's a diamond. I think I got a little bit unlucky there with that one. But yeah, this is the simplest version of the farm. A little encasement. This little redstone device just to activate and deactivate the farm and to block light and everything. That's all, you know, just extras. If you want to do that manually, you can. There we go. We got 3 diamonds already. And I haven't even gotten all 4 of these Poké Snacks eaten yet. We've already got 3 diamonds. That's not too bad. Still pretty unlucky. This farm is normally better than that, I'm gonna be honest. Let's actually discuss the seasonings that we have in the Poké Snacks here. So if we hold shift over the Poké Snacks, we can see there are 3 seasoning attributes. Reduce bite time 100%, 1x drops reroll, and attract special defense EV yields. Now once again, GodDig made an excellent video discussing in depth how the Poké Snack mechanics work, but I'm gonna go over exactly what these 3 bait things do for us in this farm when it pertains to Carbink. So first of all, you do need, you know, the recipe for a normal Poké Snack, which means a campfire and then a campfire pot, and then hardy grains, honey bottles, vivichokes, and moo milks. You can also use buckets of milk as well, but bucket of milk can only stack up to 1, whereas moo milk stacks up to 16. Either way, you need to right-click on either a cow with an empty bucket or a Miltank with an empty bottle to get this manually. There are also Poké Snack automatic crafting farms out there that are able to do all of this process manually, but it's the resource gathering that's probably going to be pretty bad, especially if you do go with Moo Moo Milks. Honey bottles, I mean, you just need so much glass. But that's not even talking about the berries. The berries are going to be even harder to obtain, but because they can be replanted, once you get one of these berries, you have infinite. So just getting that first berry is the hardest part, especially for something like the Greppa berry. However, the Greppa berry is arguably one of the most important berries. What that means is that Pokemon that spawn from these Poké Snacks have to have the special defense EV yield. Under these spawning conditions, just means Carbink. Carbink is the only Pokemon under these spawning conditions that actually applies to the special defense EV yield. Which means 100% of the time when a Poké Snack is being eaten, 100% of the time that will be a Carbink. Now, you can get wild Pokemon to spawn in this chamber, and wild Pokemon could be something that isn't a Carbink. However, that's probably not going to happen if you're within this area, because wild Pokemon do not like spawning directly in front of you or directly next to you. Wild Pokemon shouldn't be spawning in here, but maybe if you leave and come back, you might see something else in here, and that's going to be why. However, if we open the Pokénav here, which is just going to show me the spawn rates of everything, as we can see, Carbink already has a 53% chance to spawn. That is pretty dang good. And you might be wondering why that's so high. And that's simply because Carbink has an incredibly high spawn weight as well. So Carbink is not only a common spawn, but it's also got an incredibly high spawn weight in the spawn pool, which essentially means that compared to all these other common spawns, Carbink is going to happen way more often. So even for wild Pokemon, it's still going to be high up there. So even though Greppa berries are difficult to find, there's still a pretty good chance that the Pokemon that spawns in there can drop diamonds. It wouldn't be guaranteed without the Greppa berry though, so that's why the Greppa berry is in there. The Greppa berry is super important to make sure that you're not wasting Poké Snacks on Pokemon that aren't giving you diamonds. Next is the Citrus berry, which reduces bite time by 100%. There are many berries that claim to reduce bite time, but as Goddig explains in his video, only the Citrus berry and I think the apple are the only two that actually have any effect on the Poké Snack, just based on how the Poké Snack works with the random tick function and everything. Basically, it needs to be hit by the random tick function 2 times before it can spawn a Pokemon, and only the Citrus berry and the apple actually drop that down from 2 times to 1 time. Again, Goddig explains it a lot more in his video, but Citrus berries essentially are going to double the speed of the Poké Snacks. And then lastly, we have the Roap berry, which does the 1x drops reroll. Now, crucially, if you were to put multiple Roap berries in here like this, you can see that it increases to 2x drops reroll, and you might think that's better, but that's actually the game lying to you. Essentially how the Roap berry works, which Goddig investigated in the code, is when a Pokemon spawns from a Poké Snack that has the Roap berry, what that Roap berry is doing is it's assigning that Pokemon a drops reroll tag. A Pokemon can only have one of that tag at a time, so having more Roap berries isn't going to do anything. Only one Roap berry is going to get you the most out of it, because one Roap berry is going to assign the drops reroll tag to that Pokemon, and what that drops reroll tag does is once that Pokemon dies, it's going to generate the loot that it drops when it dies. So for Carbink, that's going to be a 5% chance for a diamond, a 5% chance for a Babiri berry, and a 5% chance for a floatstone. It's going to roll those, see what it gets, drop those. But if that Pokemon also had the drops reroll tag, it's just going to do that again. So it doesn't double the odds in the sense that there is now a 10% chance to get a diamond, but it instead doubles the loot. Essentially, it's like killing 2 Carbink within 1 Carbink. if that makes sense. 2 Carbink per Carbink. So that means you have a chance of getting 0 diamonds, you have a chance of getting 1 diamond, you also have a chance of getting 2 diamonds from the same Carbink, because it's rolling its loot drops multiple times, even though Carbink are normally only able to drop 1 diamond maximum. So yeah, having multiple Rowette berries, having multiple citrus berries, having multiple Greppa berries are all useless, but having one of each creates the perfect concoction for a diamond farm. So that's precisely the combination of seasonings that I use for these Poké Snacks throughout this. And that's not going to change for any of the farm designs that I show you. Like, all of this is great, but eventually these Poké Snacks are going to get eaten, you know? The more Carbink that spawn in here, and the more that you kill, the more that these Poké Snacks are going to be eaten. And that means that eventually they're going to be gone, and you got to come in and manually refill them. But then you're also manually having to kill the Carbink. If only these processes could be automated. Now, unfortunately, in the current version of Cobblemon, there is no automatic way to place down Poké Snacks. Both Goddig and I would love to see like dispensers being able to automatically place Poké Snacks or something, but as of right now, Poké Snacks have to be manually placed. So is there a way that we can automate killing the Carbink? Well, thankfully, yes, there very much is. If I take a rail and a bunch of minecarts, I can place this rail here, go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. And then break that rail. Going to just very quickly replace that with a tinted glass. And now if I were to enable the farm, as you can see, the Carbink spawns and immediately starts dying. I'm also going to turn off the friendly creature sounds because the minecarts are going to get very loud. So yeah, the Carbink just immediately start dying. And that's because of an incredible feature of game rule max entity cramming. By default, entity cramming is set to 24. So once a 25th entity occupies the same block, it's going to start taking suffocation damage, which will then kill it. And this happens pretty quickly too. I mean, as you can see, it's only taking like roughly 4 hits for it to die, and then it just drops its items into the chest. It's super automatic. Now the only thing that you gotta worry about is actually placing down the Poké Snacks themselves. Now the obvious upside to this is this eliminates an entire part of the process. So this is just an extremely efficient diamond farm already. But the drawback is, of course, you have 25 entities on screen at all times, 26 with the Carbink in there. If you're playing on like single player mode, this doesn't really matter, but if you're playing on a server, the server owners might not like that. So do just keep that in mind. You do have a lot of entities going on here, especially once we start expanding this farm, and trust me, we will expand this farm. And again, you can expand this to be, to place them higher, you can go lower, you can place as many as you want here. I just have 4. But obviously, we want to expand, right? We want to see how far we can really push this. Imagine someone had the means to craft hundreds, thousands of Poké Snacks. Push a diamond farm to its limits. We want to get as many diamonds as we possibly can, as quickly as we can. Well, in that case, that's why we have this. And this is what you're going to find as a Lightmatica schematic in the description. Also, I'm going to re-enable the friendly creatures sounds. And that's simply because there are so many minecarts over here that the game simply stops processing all minecart sounds in this area. Because we are currently looking at 325 minecarts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 chambers, and the chambers are exactly the same as the ones I've been showing you. And also we have all these hopper lines connecting all the mob drops into an item sorting system, which sorts between diamonds, babiri berries, and floatstones. I'm gonna be honest, you probably don't need this many floatstones. I'm gonna be honest, you probably need this many floatstones. I'm gonna be honest, you probably don't need any floats. It's a pretty useless item if we're being real here. So maybe you don't want to actually collect the floatstones, maybe you just want to hook that up into like a dropper that just throws them into lava. or something. Whatever you want, it doesn't matter. I'm sure you're only really here for the diamonds. But Berry Berries might be useful for some other purposes. They're not super useful for Poké Snacks, at least not right now. But, you know, I mean, it's a free way to get berries without needing a separate berry farm for them, so, like, why not? But diamonds are obviously the main star of the show. So if I re-enable random tick speed to 3, then we can start hearing. Random tick speed of 3 is the default. So these are the default rates at which you should expect the farm to work at. And then they, of course, get funneled down here into these item collection. I already have 10 diamonds. Just from that. Just from when I turned it on. So it's already giving us diamonds. So yeah, 13 chambers is quite a lot here. Could you fit more chambers within this space? I'm going to be honest, you probably could. Right here is the Poké Snack base position. This sign block acts as the base coordinate that all these Poké Snacks are going to be searching for and spawning around. If you're smarter about the layout, like, you probably could fit more than 13 chambers. Do you need to, though? No, 13 is already pretty overkill in this regard. I think the only way that more than 13 chambers would be optimal is if when a Carbink dies, it immediately gets replaced, and you pretty much never see empty chambers like this one. And that's simply because that would be telling you that the game is spawning Carbinks so quickly, it's trying to get so many out, that there's just never any time for any of them to be empty. Which means that there's a good chance that the game is trying more spawn attempts, but those spawn attempts are failing because all the chambers are full. But we're not seeing that happen, you know? We're seeing empty chambers from time to time. So because of that, that means that you don't really need more than 13 chambers. 13 chambers should be plenty. This is already kind of overkill, like I said. So the reason why the chambers are spaced out like this is, of course, because the rule where no Pokemon can be within 8 blocks of the spawning location. This is also the tower design. I know Goddig has a bit of a different tower design for his stuff and his videos, but I really like this one because you can just hold right-click on the ladders, and as there's empty blocks behind you, you'll just place them down just like that. You can also do it like this too, just holding right-click. It goes up all the way to the top here, and then we can drop down in some water, and then same thing going down here. We have some water, and this is where you can access all of your extra Poké Snacks, because you will need them. Just get an inventory filled with Poké Snacks, and hold right-click on the ladder as you go up, and that's going to fill in all the Poké Snacks. And as a result, look at that. That's just a result of me flying around showing it to you so far. Already well over a stack. Now, one thing that you might be concerned about if with Pokemon farms, which is a fair concern, Clink and Magnemite. If I go down here and I open up the Pokénav, we can see Clink does in fact have a chance to spawn. Clink is finding the hoppers here, which is a redstone component. Magnemite will also be able to find the hoppers as well, and Clink and Magnemite will both be able to naturally spawn as wild Pokemon around these platforms. So, how do we deal with Clink and Magnemite? The simple answer is they're just not really an issue for this farm. So, because you're just hanging out in this one little area, Clink and Magnemite thus simply do not spawn. In the 1 hour test that I did not get any Clink or Magnemite. It is possible if you're like all the way up here and everything, you know, refilling the Poké Snacks and all that, while you're up here on the ladder, you know, you might be far enough away that Clink and Magnemite could try spawning down there. However, you also have a lot of Carbinks in these chambers. You're not up there for very long either. So, as a result, Clink and Magnemite just don't become an issue. If there is a Clink or Magnemite that spawns here, however, you do want to get rid of it as quickly as possible. And once again, that all has to do with the fact that when there is a Pokemon within 8 blocks of the spawning position, the spawn attempt will fail. The bright side is that Clink and Magnemite will not be eating the Poké Snacks, because again, of the seasonings, it's only going to be Carbink. So while they won't be eating your Poké Snacks, they will still be eating your raids. Oh, and of course, the reason that those Pokemon are not going to be eating into your Poké Snacks is because of the Greppa Berry seasoning that we added to the Poké Snack that only allows special defense EV yield Pokemon to take a bite. Because those Pokemon are not special defense EV yields, they will never spawn from the Poké Snacks. That's exactly why you want Greppa Berries in your Poké Snacks, because otherwise you would get a bunch of Pokemon that are not Carbink eating all your Poké Snacks. I've not really had an issue with Clink or Magnemite. Okay, now that's funny. So this is what happens when a shiny appears. As you can see in the chat, it says a shiny Carbink died of mysterious causes. That's what happens to shinies. In case you were wondering, wow, I can't believe I recorded that. Very sad. I know. If you're hoping to get shiny Carbink from this, just build a different farm. There isn't a way that you can, like, break the glass quick enough to throw a Pokeball and save the Like, no, that's not gonna happen. You just kind of have to accept that some shinies might end up dying in this farm. It's been a few minutes of me flying around this farm, a little less than 10 minutes, and I've already got over 3 stacks. No way! Are you kidding me? Where is it? Where is it? Oh no, it's already dead. No way I got 2! Are you kidding me? Why? 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 That's nuts. I swear the shiny odds are the default. 1 in 8,196 or whatever. Look. That will be frustrating, but look. I just got 2 shinies within the span of 5 minutes. So, you know, if you really want to build a shiny farm, like, you know how to spawn Carbink now. So, get to it. You got this. Let's also go ahead and look at the overflow chest real quick. There's a lot of random items that Carbink does not drop, and you might be wondering why and how did these get here. And that's simply because of wild Pokemon spawns. The same way that if you're up here, Magnemite and Clink might be able to spawn on the platform, as I mentioned earlier. In that same way, wild Pokemon might end up spawning inside one of these chambers. And there's quite a few Pokemon that can. But since they're inside the chamber, they will just die, like that. And then they're not an issue anymore. But it does mean that we gotta get an overflow chest to collect any extras. And also, extra diamonds. I don't really know why this happens. I have to assume that diamonds sometimes trickle into the overflow chest just because there's just so many diamonds going into the item sorting system that it has to overflow into this chest. The Carbink diamond farm might look like one simple, effortless diamond printing machine, but then you remember that in order to get this many Poké Snacks, you need all these materials for each one, and that right there is like 8 other farms that you need to make in order to get this many Poké Snacks on this scale for this farm. So like once the farm is actually built, once you have the Poké Snacks, it's totally super easy to get all these diamonds. Getting to that point is the real hard part, and Goddig has plenty of farm designs on his channel as well for the materials that make up Poké Snacks. One thing I also want to mention is that if you're building this in survival, you really don't need 13 chambers. Honestly, maybe if you're building this for like several people, like on a server, maybe 8 if you really want to go extra with it. But you got to remember as well that even with just 4 chambers, that's 100 minecarts. The 8 chamber version is 200. That's 200 entities just sitting there on the server. So if you're planning on building a bigger version of this farm, especially the 13 chamber version, which currently has 325 minecarts at all times, if you're building a massive version of this farm, make sure you know that the server owner is going to be okay with this many entities just sitting here, because that's kind of a lot to have all in one area, and some server owners would not appreciate this kind of thing. Hopefully I've given you enough information on how to do all of this yourself and exactly how each mechanic interacts with each other that you can make your own well-informed decisions. You know, diamonds are pretty useful. I mean, you know, we have the beast balls, which use diamond. The Dream Ball, which is easily one of the best Pokeballs in Cobblemon. The Dream Ball uses a diamond. With this farm, you're going to have plenty of Dream Balls. Also useful just for the normal Minecraft stuff that you would use diamonds for. I mean, who hasn't dreamed of a diamond farm, you know? So yeah, there you go. That's my design. Once again, the Lightmatica schematics are in the description. These are the hourly rates for this farm. I recently did a full 1 hour test. These were the results that I got. But yeah, I think that's going to do it for this video. I hope this farm helps you out in your Cobblemon journey. Let's see how much of this video is... Well, I was just talking about you, wasn't I? Anyways, yeah, so I guess that's what I was talking about earlier. That if you're standing far enough away, wild Pokemon could start spawning on these platforms and stuff, which could affect the rates of the farm. Imagine I hit that. God, in my dreams. They're really not that big of an issue, but do keep an eye out for that happening. Like, that is a concern with this farm, as it is with most Poké Snack farms, but I guess that's going to be it for this video. If you enjoyed it, I think I gotta tell you to leave a like and to comment what the wackiest moment of the video was. But yeah, if you like seeing me build farms like this, I might have more in store for Minecraft, interesting Minecraft farms. Maybe not for Cobblemon, but like just in general, I do have a lot of, I do have more Minecraft farm related stuff cooking up that I think is gonna be really interesting once I finish it. Anyways, I'm kind of rambling now. That's usually a good sign to end the video. Goodbye!
You float like a feather in a beautiful world. I wish I was special. You're so fucking special.